Have you ever felt a nagging sense, a persistent whisper in the back of your mind, that something was missing from the history books? That the story we've been told about our past, about humanity's journey, is incomplete, perhaps even deliberately obscured? For generations, we've learned a comfortable narrative, a neat, linear progression from primitive cave dwellers to the sophisticated societies we see today. But what if that narrative is a carefully constructed illusion? What if beneath the surface of accepted history, there lies a trove of astonishing evidence, defying everything we thought we knew? This is Enigma Explained, and for years, like many of you, we've questioned the gaps, the anomalies, the stories that just don't quite fit. Join us as we journey beyond the academic gatekeepers into the hidden archives of forbidden archaeology. This isn't about wild theories or speculative fiction. This is about physical evidence, stones, artifacts, entire cities that challenge the very foundation of our understanding. We're talking about discoveries so profound, so utterly out of place, that they've been sidelined, dismissed, or outright suppressed by mainstream academia for decades, sometimes even centuries. These are the relics that whisper of forgotten civilizations, advanced technologies in epochs considered primitive, and human capabilities far beyond what we're taught to believe. Prepare to have your perceptions shattered, your curiosity ignited, because what we're about to uncover will not just add new chapters to our history, it will demand a complete rewrite. This is Forbidden Archaeology, and the suppressed discoveries are finally resurfacing. Are you ready to face the uncomfortable truth? To truly appreciate the discoveries we are about to explore, we must first understand the wall they are constantly crashing against. The veil of orthodoxy. For decades, the story of human history has been firmly established, codified, and taught, a seamless, linear timeline known as the historical paradigm. Think back to your school days. We learned about the Stone Age, followed by the Bronze Age, then the Iron Age, leading us into the rise of classical civilizations like Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Rome. This model dictates that humans achieved certain technological milestones only at specific, calculated times. Early humans were nomadic hunter-gatherers, settled agriculture came later, and complex architecture, metallurgy, and writing only emerged after that. It's a very neat, clean, and comfortable timeline. But here is the central issue. This paradigm has become more than just a theory. It's become a dogma. Mainstream archaeology often operates like a highly funded self-policing bureaucracy. Entire careers, professorships, university departments, funding streams, publishing houses are built upon the unquestioned acceptance of this established timeline. So, what happens when an artifact, a structure, or an entire site is discovered that is, say, 100,000 years too old for its sophistication? A simple answer, but a damaging one. It is denied. This is where the term forbidden archaeology is born. It refers to discoveries that, based on meticulous scientific dating or overwhelming structural evidence, do not fit the established chronology of human development. A discovery becomes forbidden, not because it's fake, though hoaxes certainly exist, but because its reality is academically inconvenient. It challenges the entire scaffolding. If you find complex stone masonry dating back 12,000 years, suddenly the entire narrative of when humans became civilized collapses. And who wants to be the tenured professor who admits the entire foundation of their life's work is flawed? The problem extends beyond the ivory tower. As a society, we crave certainty. The established story of history provides a grounding for our collective identity, our nationalistic pride, and even our understanding of ourselves. When evidence surfaces suggesting that our ancestors were far more capable, far more ancient, and perhaps far more globally connected than we admit, it creates a profound societal discomfort. It introduces unsettling questions. Did we miss an entire epoch of advanced civilization? Were we not the first? The human mind tends to reject information that radically contradicts its core beliefs, a phenomenon known as cognitive dissonance. It's easier, both for the individual scholar and the collective public, to simply label the inconvenient artifact as a misinterpretation, an anomaly, or a geological trick. But anomalies are just that. deviations from the norm. And when you have hundreds of anomalies, you don't have a pattern of exceptions. You have a flawed rule. Over the next few minutes, we will look directly at these physical pieces of evidence, the out-of-place artifacts, or OOPARTS, that the system simply refuses to acknowledge. These are not theories. They are tangible objects, waiting for us to ask the one question mainstream archaeology avoids. What if the evidence is right and the timeline is wrong? If the veil of orthodoxy is the system, then its greatest enemy is the out-of-place artifact, or OOPART. These are the inconvenient truths, objects that are scientifically impossible to exist within the geological or historical timeframe they are found. They are the ultimate anachronisms, items that violate the fundamental rulebook of time. Our first stop takes us to the arid, rugged landscape of California, near the town of Olancha, in the year 1961. 3 artifact collectors were searching for geodes, those hollow rocks lined with crystals, when they came upon something that would later rock the foundations of dating science: the Coso Artifact. Embedded firmly within a dense, hardened geode, which experts later estimated took at least 500,000 years to form, was an object of undeniable human manufacture. When sliced open, the cross-section revealed a porcelain cylinder, a central metal rod, and remnants of copper and magnetic silver alloy. In essence, a highly complex, precisely machined tool that bears an uncanny resemblance to a modern spark plug. Now, the conventional explanation offered by skeptics is that a 1920s spark plug somehow fell into a soft fissure, which then hardened quickly around it. But this explanation fails to account for the mineral density, the oxidation, and the millions of years required for a true geode shell to form around the object. If this artifact is truly encapsulated in rock that is over 500,000 years old, it means a technological civilization capable of precision metallurgy and porcelain synthesis existed 500,000 years before Homo sapiens even mastered fire. The Coso artifact isn't just an artifact. It's a geological time bomb that suggests our accepted timeline is fundamentally flawed. Next, we travel far from the American desert to the National Museum of Iraq. Our subject here is perhaps the most famous technological anomaly: the Baghdad Battery. Discovered in the 1930s near Baghdad, this artifact is approximately 2,000 years old, dating back to the Parthian era. It appears deceptively simple: a terracotta jar, roughly 6 inches tall, containing a copper cylinder held in place by asphalt, and an iron rod suspended in the center. Modern recreations using grape juice or vinegar as an electrolyte, a common acidic substance available in antiquity, have consistently proven that this device could generate a low-voltage electrical current, ranging from 0.5 volt to nearly 2 volts. The standard academic position dismisses this electrical function, arguing the jars were merely used for storing sacred scrolls. But why the specific combination of materials? The copper, the iron, the asphalt insulation. The Forbidden Archaeology hypothesis suggests this was a primitive galvanic cell. More importantly, several gold objects from the region dating to the same period show evidence of electroplating, a process requiring a reliable source of electricity to thin out gold onto a cheaper metal base. If this was a battery, it means knowledge of generating and utilizing electricity existed 2,000 years ago, predating the recognized invention of the battery by Alessandro Volta by almost 2 millennia. It challenges the entire story of technological history, implying an overlooked chapter of electrical knowledge lost to the sands of time. Our third and final OOPART takes us to the ancient Tirona culture of Colombia and Ecuador. Here, archaeologists found small, intricate gold trinkets, often displayed as necklaces or decorative pins. Academics labeled them as zoomorphic figurines, stylized depictions of local insects, birds, or flying fish. But look closely. Unlike the flowing naturalistic curves typical of ancient animal sculpture, many of these small gold models possess features that are distinctly aerodynamic: delta wings, perfectly proportioned fuselages, and a vertical stabilizer or tail rudder. In 1994, German aviation experts built precise, scaled-up replicas of these models, but instead of using them as jewelry, they mounted them with modern propellers and control systems. The result was staggering. The models flew perfectly. They demonstrated remarkable stability and even possessed characteristics that mimic modern high-speed aircraft designs. These are not stylized insects. These are aerodynamically sound, precisely engineered flying machines, created by a culture that, according to the official timeline, should have been barely aware of the wheel, let alone advanced principles of lift, drag, and thrust. So, we have seen three powerful contradictions. The Coso Artifact defies geology, the Baghdad Battery defies technology, and the pre-Columbian models defy aerodynamics. Are they all merely random misinterpretations? Are we to believe that the geological process sped up for a modern spark plug, that 2,000-year-old jars were only for scrolls despite being perfect batteries, and that ancient artists accidentally created perfect delta-wing aircraft? Or is it far more likely that we are witnessing evidence of highly capable, profoundly ancient civilizations that simply do not fit the neat little boxes created by our modern academic institutions? The artifacts have spoken. Now let's turn our attention from these individual objects to the monolithic sites, the ancient cities that shouldn't exist at all. If an out-of-place artifact, a small object, is a whisper against the established timeline, then an ancient, impossible site is a deafening roar. In this section, we move beyond the laboratory and the museum shelf to the vast, open fields and hidden mountainsides where entire monuments stand as colossal question marks. We begin our journey in southeastern Turkey, at a place that has completely shattered the foundational narrative of human civilization, Göbekli Tepe. Discovered and excavated primarily since the mid-1990s, this site rewrites everything we thought we knew about the origins of complex human society. For over a century, the accepted story was clear. First came agriculture, then came settled life, and only after settled life did people have the resources and stability to build temples and complex structures. Göbekli Tepe flips this script entirely. Dating back to approximately 9,600 BCE, a staggering 11,600 years ago, this complex predates the invention of pottery, metallurgy, and even large-scale agriculture. It is thousands of years older than Stonehenge and the pyramids of Giza. Imagine, the builders of Göbekli Tepe were supposedly still primitive hunter-gatherers, yet they engineered enormous, T-shaped limestone megaliths, some weighing up to 20 tons. These megaliths were not just placed, they were intricately carved with detailed reliefs of animals, foxes, snakes, birds, and insects, suggesting a sophisticated symbolic system and advanced astronomical knowledge. What's most astonishing is that the site was deliberately and meticulously buried around 8,000 BCE, preserving it for millennia. Why did nomadic people, struggling for survival, dedicate massive effort to building a ceremonial center before they learned to farm? Göbekli Tepe proves that complex organizational skills and massive construction projects predated settled civilization, demanding that we push back the accepted timeline of human ingenuity by over 6,000 years. Next, we travel to West Java, Indonesia, to a site that, if fully verified, would dwarf Göbekli Tepe in age, Gunung Padang, meaning Mountain of Light. On the surface, it appears to be a natural hill crowned with megalithic stone terraces. However, geological and archaeological surveys utilizing ground-penetrating radar and core drilling revealed a stunning truth. The terraces on the surface are just the cap of a much larger structure buried deep beneath the earth. Radiocarbon dating on the organic material found within the construction layers returned shocking dates. While the top layer is only a few thousand years old, the deeper layers, the ancient walls and rooms beneath the soil, have yielded dates of 13,000 years, 16,000 years, and potentially even 20,000 years ago. This suggests that Gunung Padang is not merely a hill, but a massive, multi-layered, artificial pyramid built over successive epochs. The deeper construction involves heavy, precise stonework, suggesting advanced engineering skills were used 20 millennia ago, during the last ice age, a time when humans are supposed to have been minimally impactful, nomadic populations. Mainstream archaeology vehemently rejects these dates, claiming the deep layers are natural geological formations, despite the strong evidence showing tool marks and structural arrangement. The sheer scale and antiquity of Gunung Padang threaten the consensus that civilization only arose in Mesopotamia after 4000 BCE. If it is an artificial structure, it provides irrefutable proof of a highly advanced global civilization predating recorded history. Finally, we turn our gaze to Visoko, Bosnia, home to the so-called Bosnian pyramids. Led by researcher Samir Osmanagic, this site claims that a cluster of hills, most prominently Visočica Hill, are not natural formations but colossal, ancient, man-made pyramids. The evidence cited includes perfectly oriented sides facing the cardinal points, layers of concrete-like material that some analyses suggest is superior in quality to modern concrete, and intricate tunnel systems beneath the structures. Although this site remains highly controversial and fiercely disputed by the European Association of Archaeologists, the fundamental problem here is the suppression of inquiry. The controversy highlights how readily the academic gatekeepers move to discredit, rather than investigate, sites that defy established geological and historical norms. Whether the Bosnian pyramids are artificial or not, the intense global effort to immediately dismiss and prevent serious international study reveals the core fragility of the accepted historical narrative. It cannot withstand serious, unbiased scrutiny of sites that propose a complex past. These monolithic sites, Göbekli Tepe, Gunung Padang, and the controversy in Bosnia, are not anomalies. They are evidence of a global pattern. They show that organized, sophisticated, and technologically advanced cultures existed thousands of years before the textbooks say they should have. They force us to confront the possibility that the Dark Ages weren't a decline from Rome, but perhaps the remnants of an unimaginably ancient catastrophe that wiped clean the knowledge of a forgotten, colossal past. We have seen the artifacts, and we have seen the impossible sites. So the question is no longer, does this evidence exist? But rather, why is it ignored? The answer lies with the silencers, the mechanisms, institutions, and individuals who act as the guardians of the status quo. The primary silencer is intellectual rigidity. The entire modern academic infrastructure is built upon the current historical paradigm. Think of it as the iron triangle. You have the tenured professors, the textbooks, and the funding bodies. A professor who has spent 30 years of their life researching the conventional timeline cannot simply admit that a discovery like Göbekli Tepe invalidates the first half of their career. To question the accepted dates is to risk everything: their tenure, their position, and the validity of their life's work. It is far easier, professionally safer, and certainly less embarrassing to declare the challenging evidence an anomaly, a misinterpretation, or even a deliberate hoax, than to initiate a system-wide rewrite. This fear creates a self-policing bureaucracy. Research proposals that seek funding to investigate controversial dates are almost universally rejected by peer review boards composed of those very same professors. The system is designed to reward conformity and punish curiosity. The safest, most fundable research is the research that confirms what the community already believes. Beyond personal careers, there are powerful financial and political incentives for maintaining the accepted story. Consider the money trail. Government grants, major museum endowments, and international tourism dollars flow heavily towards safe sites that fit the national narrative, sites like the Pyramids of Giza or the Roman Colosseum. If a site like Gunung Padang is proven to be 20,000 years old, it redirects global attention, resources, and tourism away from the established monuments. Furthermore, history is often intrinsically linked to nationalism. Many nations build their cultural identity and territorial claims on the accepted timeline of their first ancestors. A discovery that suggests a precursor global civilization challenges that narrative, potentially destabilizing decades of established history and even political claims. When the stakes involve millions in funding and national pride, the evidence often takes a back seat to convenience. The silencers don't just hide artifacts, they strategically amplify what supports the narrative and suppress what undermines it. If you think this behavior is unique to archaeology, think again. History is littered with examples of revolutionary ideas being violently rejected. Take the case of Alfred Wegener in the early 20th century. He proposed the theory of continental drift, suggesting that the continents were once joined and had slowly moved apart. Wegener presented overwhelming evidence, the jigsaw-like fit of coastlines, matching fossil records across oceans and corresponding geological strata. Yet, he was ridiculed, dismissed, and professionally marginalized for decades. Why? Not because his evidence was weak, but because he couldn't explain the mechanism, the how, of the drift. It wasn't until the 1960s, long after his death, when the mechanism of plate tectonics was discovered, that his forbidden idea became the new geological orthodoxy. The parallel to forbidden archaeology is stark. Researchers are presenting the evidence, the what. But because the how, the lost civilization, the lost technology, doesn't fit the existing framework, they are dismissed as quacks. The only difference is that the silencers are actively trying to ensure that the new mechanism is never even searched for. The human cost is immense. The researchers who champion these forgotten ideas often pay the ultimate professional price. They are marginalized, denied publication in reputable journals, cut off from funding, and subjected to vicious personal ridicule. For those dedicated to truth, the choice is stark. Maintain the silence and remain in the system, or speak the truth and risk professional ruin. It takes incredible courage to be an archaeologist who chooses the latter. It is only through their persistence that the suppressed discoveries can finally, truly resurface. We have stood at the edge of the abyss, looking at the evidence that the academic world has deemed too dangerous to acknowledge. We have seen the Coso Artifact defy geology, the Baghdad Battery challenge technology, and Göbekli Tepe shatter the timeline of civilization itself. We have also seen the silencers at work, attempting to preserve a comfortable but demonstrably incomplete history. But now, we shift our focus from the struggle of the past to the potential of the future. What does it truly mean if these suppressed discoveries are valid? It means that we are not the simple, linear progression from a cave to a rocket ship that we were taught. It means that human history is far richer, far longer, and far more cyclical than we imagine. The implications are profound. If advanced, organized cultures existed 10,000 or 20,000 years ago, it suggests a profound understanding of the cosmos, of natural energy, and of construction techniques that we are only now beginning to rediscover. We should view this forgotten epoch not as a threat to our pride, but as an inheritance, a massive, untapped source of ancient wisdom waiting to be reclaimed. Imagine the reevaluation of human potential. Our ancestors, free from the technological noise of our modern world, may have achieved a mastery of materials and astronomy that we are just beginning to catch up to. Reclaiming this past is not just about correcting dates on a calendar. It's about realizing the incredible potential that lies dormant within our own DNA. The history books, my friends, are merely a first draft, written by the survivors and edited by the consensus. It is up to us, the curious, the skeptical, the truth-seekers, to demand the next, more accurate chapter. The grand invitation is this: question everything. When you encounter a neatly packaged historical fact, ask yourself, what does this story exclude? Support the independent researchers, the geologists, and the archaeologists who risk their careers to bring these forbidden truths to light. The journey into our hidden past is not meant to be a destination, but a continuous exploration. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the shadows. The unknown is vast, but the truth is waiting. It's time we step into the light and truly reclaim our incredible, overlooked ancient legacy. The evidence is waiting for you.